All right, good morning. I'd like to call the Niagara Police Service Board public meeting to order for September 25th, 2025. My name is Pat Kyokyo, and I'm Chair of the Niagara Police Service Board. We begin the meeting this morning by acknowledging that the Niagara region is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Haudenosaunee, Haudenosaunee, and Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The Regional Municipality of Niagara Police Service Board stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands in which we live. I'll begin the roll call with Member Gibson.
Present.
Member Yip.
Present.
Vice Chair Capsavanu.
Present.
Member Lawson. Member McKendrick,
Here.
and members still will be joining us later by Zoom. Do any member have any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interests? I'm seeing none. We'll go to number 4, the adoption of the minutes. Moved by Member Gibson, second by Member Yip, that the minutes of public board meeting held Thursday, July 24th, 2025 be adopted and circulated. Any discussion? I'm seeing none. I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. We'll go next, number 5. It's a report from the board chair. On behalf of the board, I would like to welcome Dave Tilley. Is he here yet?
He's on his way.
He's on his way. Okay, Dave Tilley. He's the Inspector of Policing at the Ministry of the Solicitor General, and he serves as Policing Service Advisor to Zone 4 police boards in Ontario. He regularly attends our meetings as part of the routine visits by policing services advisors to police boards across the province. The board is pleased that he will be in attendance here this morning, but he's just running a little behind. On September 5th, the board and service participated in a charity event hosted by the Mayor of Welland. The board was proud to sponsor the event with proceeds benefiting Niagara Nutrition Partners, Education Foundation Niagara, and Niagara Foundation for Catholic Education. Chief Forty, Deputy Chief Lagateria, Superintendent Perrant, and I were all in attendance. The Canadian Association of Police Governance hosts monthly webinars as part of their educational strategy to keep police boards and police executives across Canada apprised of issues currently affecting the policing community. A webinar was held on September 16th for discussions on the relationship between the governance board and police leadership. The next webinar will be held today at 12 p.m. for discussions on ISNs and police diversity associations for recruitment, retention, and community outreach. Recorded copies of the webinars are sent to board members for their viewing. The International Association of Women Police hosted its annual training conference from September 8th to September 12th in Glasgow, Scotland. Vice Chair Capsavanu and Director Reid joined members of the service. And for those from more than 40 countries and affiliate organizations at the conference to participate in the information and training sessions that related to policing issues and challenges nationwide. Recently, the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards announced that it will be expanding its online training discussion groups on topics specific to police board governance. The first training session was held on September 8th, titled Critical Thinking in Police Governance, for insight into personal and professional critical thinking skills for police governance issues. An encore session will be held on October 6th. Board members are encouraged to attend that session. On September 10th, the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards held their Zone 4 quarterly meeting in Woodstock. Zone 4 consists of a total of 14 police boards, including municipal and OPP contract boards, or First Nations police governance bodies that are located within the regions or counties of Brant, Haldimand, Halton, Hamilton, Niagara, Norfolk, and Oxford. These quarterly engagements allows boards within certain geographic area to meet for the purpose of discussing matters related to police governance. Member Lawson did attend the meeting on behalf of the board. I thank you for that, Member Lawson. On September 22nd, the Service Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Unit hosted a Indigenous Reflections learning event in the community room at police headquarters. The session explored Indigenous cultural teachings, the journey toward truth and reconciliation, and stories that honor Indigenous perspectives. Members Lawson, McKendrick, Executive Assistant Sayaki, and I were in attendance. I thought my name was hard, but I think this one's even harder. Thank you for attending. On September 23rd, the Peel Police Service Board and Peel Regional Police Service held its inaugural Victims and Survivors Symposium. The event brought together victims, survivors, justice sector leaders, and community advocates to discuss the impacts of violence offenders and systemic issues within Canada's bail system to seek and generate momentum for meaningful reform and stronger public safety outcomes. Vice Chair Capasavanu, Director Reed, and I were in attendance. On September 28th, members of the board and service will be attending the Canadian Police and Peace Officers Memorial Service at Parliament Hill in Ottawa. This event is held annually to unite police and the families and friends of officers for the opportunity to pay tribute to our Canadian police officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty. On October 9th and 10th, the Canadian Society of Evidence-Based Policing will be presenting the Building Bridges Evidence-Based Policing Conference at the Blue Mountain Conference Center. In the event, the event is being co-hosted and supported by the Canadian Association of Police Governance, the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police, the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards, and Global Society of Evidence-Based Policing, and police services from Barrie, Durham, London, Waterloo, and West Vancouver. This year's conference will bring together over 250 attendees to explore topics relating to crime prevention, to technology use practices and policies, occupational wellness, quality care for people experiencing crisis, enhanced diversity in policing, pathways to police reform, and various other topics that are relevant to the policing community. Vice Chair Capasavanu, members McKendrick and Lawson, Director Reed, and myself will be attending the conference. Deputy Chief Lagratera and NRPS staff will also be attending on behalf of the service. On October 21st, Director Reed and I will be attending the Canadian Association of Police Governance Executive Director and Chair's quarterly meeting. These quarterly meetings are held virtually and are being designed to facilitate discussions about common issues related to police service boards, commissions, advisory boards, and to share ideas about best practice approaches. The Finance Committee meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 16th to review and consider the Niagara Regional Police Service 2026 operating and capital budgets. The next regular monthly board meeting is scheduled for Thursday, October 23rd, 2025. Both meetings are being held at the community room here at the police headquarters and will begin at 9:30 a.m. So I'll now go to the chief if he has any reports.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I do. And I will try to be as brief as I can. We continue to see an increase in fatal motor vehicle collisions on our roadways with an unprecedented 33 fatalities to date in 2025. Our Traffic Reconstruction Unit continues to work diligently investigating these life-changing tragedies. We continue to promote and enforce road safety, including speed reduction measures, seatbelt checks, and ride checks. In addition, our frontline and detectives continue to work tirelessly. I want to advise you that on August 7th, we saw the arrest of an individual, a 53-year-old male, for sexual offenses against 20 young children aged 8 to 17, with over 100 charges being laid. This followed an extensive investigation led by the Sexual Assault Unit with the assistance from the Child Abuse Unit, Internet Child Exploitation Unit, our Homicide Unit, Centralized Fraud Unit, and of course our uniform officers. It is just one of the many examples of the cohesion, coordination, and dedication of our members in supporting vulnerable members and advancing prosecutions to the courts. On August 15th, I had an opportunity to do a ride-along in one district, getting a first-hand look at what our frontline officers do each and every day to try to keep our community safe. And I was reminded of what an incredible job they do in often difficult circumstances. From August 10th to August 13th, Deputy Chief Lagrateri and I attended the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police Conference and dialogued and conferred with our colleagues from across the nation on issues affecting all of us. So, Deputy Chief Lagrateri, did I say Greco? Yeah, it was Mario. On September 2nd, we had our annual Back to School Traffic Safety and Awareness Day with officers of all ranks conducting traffic safety throughout the region. We were in communities reminding drivers that our young people are in school again and to always be cautious and careful driving our roadways. On September 4th, we attended Niagara Regional Council to provide an overview of our pressures and our service delivery model. We provided insights and information that will help inform the upcoming budget process. On September 5th, our senior staff and yourself, Chair, attended Mayor Campion's annual charity event in Welland to support the Education Foundation of Niagara. On September 5th and 6th, the inaugural Misty City Music Festival took place at the Fallsview Event Grounds at the Niagara Falls Convention Center. Approximately 15,000 people attended, and it was very well managed by our frontline officers. From September 8th to 12th, we had members of the service attend the International Association of Women in Policing Training Conference. The conference offered opportunities for enhancing knowledge, skills, and leadership development. From September 16th to 20th, the International Plowing Match and Rural Expo took place at the Niagara West Agricultural Safety Grounds in the Grimsby area with over 70,000 people in attendance. Our 8 district officers took the lead in ensuring a safe event. The annual Grape and Wine Festival is underway with the event culminating this coming weekend around Montebello Park in St. Catharines. As in previous years, we are engaged with the organizers to ensure that the event is enjoyed by all. With respect to Community Engagement Chair, on July 27th, we had our recruit graduation here in HQ, and we welcomed 14 new recruits and 2 currently serving police officers. On August 3rd, our EDI unit and core members attended the Niagara Festival Extravaganza at Fireman's Park in Niagara Falls to celebrate the Filipino culture and heritage. On August 6th, members of our EDI unit and Indigenous Liaison Officer, Frank Elia, attended the E.J. Freeland Summer Camp in Fort Erie. We presented to 5 different age groups on topics including cybersecurity, bullying, drug and alcohol use. On August 7th, our EDI unit attended the Niagara Falls Library to meet with newcomers and discuss tenant rights and responsibilities, hate crimes, fraud, and related scams. On August 21st, we held our Youth and Policing Initiative grad, also known as YIPPY. We've discussed it in this environment as YIPPY, in this community room. We had 7 graduates from the program that sees youth engaging and working with our officers, learning many facets of the profession, and working with various community organizations. Among their involvement in numerous activities, this group is exemplary young people, helping raise $1,200 for the YMCA. They assisted with our Lock It or Lose It campaign in parking lots across the region, and they helped with several presentations at camps and daycares. On August 23rd, members of our EDI unit, alongside Sergeant Derek Watson of our recruiting unit and 1 district corps officers, attended Brock University for the Future Black Female Youth Summer Games. We would like to acknowledge the board for their full donation and support of this event through the use of the special funds. On August 26th, there was a basketball game between members and the Youth Resource Niagara. The event was organized by Constable Sarah Flowers and Inspector Dave Gomez, and it was supported by Inspector Chris Seary, Staff Sergeant Bleach. They were in attendance to show their support. And again, we acknowledge and thank the board as you provided monies through the special fund that helped purchase gym equipment for the organization. On August 28th, our EDI unit was in attendance at Bridges Niagara for a back-to-school health and safety workshop. Members engaged with school-aged youth and also provided a police cruiser demonstration. On September 4th, our EDI unit attended Niagara College campuses in Niagara-on-the-Lake and Welland for their student orientation fairs, which included many international students. We met with new students to discuss the services offered by the EDI unit and our service in general. We also handed out materials on hate crimes, auto theft, and Garage 529, which is a bike theft prevention program offered across the country. On September 9th, we were in attendance with Mayor Diodati for the opening of the 2025 North American Association of State and Provincial Lotteries Conference. That was held at the Niagara Falls Convention Center down the road. Our honor guard and Piper represented the service extremely well, as they always do, during the opening ceremonies. On September 12th, members from our EDI and traffic unit presented at the Peace Mosque in Niagara Falls. Information was provided on traffic safety, and a discussion was held regarding traffic offenses, process, and policing in general terms. On September 15th, our EDI unit was at the St. Catharines Public Library and presented 30 newcomers to our country, to Canada. Information was shared in an interactive setting on matters relating to hate crime, how to avoid being a victim of fraud, on tenant rights and traffic safety. On September 16th, we continued our longstanding partnership with Special Olympics and the Law Enforcement Torch Run. Excuse me. Hosting Bridges on the Border. Members from our service, including Sergeant Aaron Gross, the Niagara Detention Center, Parks Police, and the CBSA were also on hand. We were led by our honor guard and Piper as we walked to the international line on the Rainbow Bridge and met with our U.S. counterparts from Law Enforcement and Special Olympics New York. Athletes from each side lit the cauldron to celebrate the flame of hope in support of inclusion for all. On September 18th, our tug-of-war team competed in the United Way kickoff fire truck pull. Also on September 18th, we attended the March Past at the Ontario Police College as 15 new recruits now have returned and are now starting their post-Ontario Police College training at our training academy in Welland. On September 22nd, we hosted an Indigenous Reflections event here in the community room. The event was led by our Community Inclusion Council member, Willow Shanu, and Jason Shauna from the Niagara Peninsula Aboriginal Area Management Board, NPAAMB is the acronym. We will be participating in many events in the coming week, including a flag raising here at headquarters on September 30th and attendance at the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center the same day. And then, as you referenced, this weekend we will be traveling to Ottawa for the Canadian Police and Peace Officers Memorial Service on Parliament Hill Sunday, September 28th. I anticipate approximately 100 of our members attending with yourselves, with the board, to honor the fallen officers and their families. With respect to member wellness, our sincere thanks to our Benevolent Fund members as they held a barbecue fundraiser here yesterday at our headquarters in this building. The Benevolent Fund provides aid to our members and their families that are facing life-threatening illnesses. The Benevolent Fund is run by our members of the service and is committed to members helping members. And that concludes my comments at this time, Chair.
Thank you, Chief, for your report. I'll go to members, see if they have any questions or comments. Member Lawson?
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up with something from our CAPG conference that we attended in August. We had a very impactful presentation by Paul Brandt, was a keynote speaker, and he was highlighting his initiative that he brought forward, the Yellow Rose campaign, which is also not in my city. And there's a free training that's available to anybody who would like to go to the website Not in My City. It's 30 minutes, and it actually helps identify human trafficking, and I think it's a really important 30 minutes that everybody spends.
That's great. Thank you, Member Lawson, for bringing that forward. Any other comments or questions for the Chief? Seeing none. Next, we'll go to presentations. We do have two presentations here this morning. maybe we'll go to the second one, Chief. I don't know if their first one is here yet. Do
Thank
you
you,
want to
Chair.
introduce? Yeah.
Chief Superintendent Dana Early from the OPP is en route. She messaged me that she was tied up in the third accident, so she thought she would be here at 9:55. So I wonder if, with your permission, we could move to the second item being Ronnie O'Day and Dr. Perez presenting on the board's strategic plan.
Sure, I think that'll, if the board's okay with that, we'll move forward with that.
Thank you. I would like to invite Ronnie O'Day and Hector Perez to the podium, please, Chair.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Chief. Board members, good morning, everyone. Chair, members of the board, and the audience. My name is Hector Perez, and with me is Manager Rani O'Day. Sorry. Good morning, everyone. Chair, members of the board, and the audience. My name is Hector Perez, and with me is Manager Rani O'Day. Today, it's our pleasure to present the proposed 2026-2029 Niagara Regional Police Service Board Strategic Plan for your consideration and approval. Just going to change the slide. So I'm just going to change the slide. I'll just keep going with the presentation. Yep.
We're just having some technical difficulties. We'll get it cleared up shortly. There we go. Thank you.
My apologies. As required under Section 39 of Ontario's Community Safety and Policing Act, every police service board must prepare and adopt a strategic plan at least once every 4 years to ensure that policing services remain adequate, effective, and responsive to evolving needs. The 2026-2029 strategic plan reflects one of the most comprehensive consultation process ever undertaken by our service, engaging more than 170 participants in person across 7 workshops and Indigenous learning circles, along 789 survey respondents, representing both the community and NRPS members. And today, I'll walk you through the methodology, the consultation outcomes, and the priorities that emerged, and the operational action plans designed to deliver measurable results over the next 4 years. To begin, let's situate where we are in the strategic planning circle. As you are aware, the 2022-2025 Niagara Regional Police Service Board Strategic Plan is now approaching completion. And between July and December 2024, our team assessed the progress, successes, and challenges of the current strategic plan. We then developed and presented a proposed methodology and consultation plan to the Police Service Board, which formally received approval in April 2025. As a result, between May and June of this year, we conducted an extensive consultation process, engaging both internal members and community partners. This process was the backbone of the proposed plan. As you can see on the roadmap, 2025 marks the development phase, and 2026 begins the implementation phase. We're here at the final stage with the board ready to transition from design to execution. The methods for consultation were deliberately designed to be inclusive, systematic, and transparent. We base our consultation on a mixed method approach where we collected quantitative and qualitative data from multiple participants, internally and externally. We sent over 200 invitations across Niagara to elected officials, business owners, academia, community organizations, public safety partners, and municipal representatives. 7 in-person sessions were held, 2 Indigenous learning circles, and 5 workshops. These formats encourage open dialogue, prioritization, and collaborative problem solving. The methodology for the learning circles was informed by Elder Maingan Henry, former chief of the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, who is a respected, well-known Indigenous knowledge keeper. We did it intentionally, start and finish our consultation process with the Indigenous peoples. We also launched 2 online surveys, 1 internal, 1 external, which together collected feedback from 789 participants. The methodology followed a 3-round discussion model in workshops, enabling participants to move from broad input to concrete, prioritized, and action-oriented items. The combination of quantitative and qualitative methods ensures saturation of teams, cross-validation across groups, and the ability to prioritize based on evidence. Framework. At the heart of this plan is a strategic planning framework grounded in 3 principles: alignment, integration, and value. Alignment means connecting present and future community and police service priorities, ensuring that individual unit-level initiatives reinforce overall organizational goals. Integration ensures that project budgets, resources, and governance are synchronized but also adaptable to change. This principle is critical given shifting demands and legislative requirements by the Community Safety and Policing Act. Finally, value emphasizes initiatives that deliver measurable benefits for the community and the service. Outcomes like reduced crime, improved community trust, and effective resource utilization. And the framework also illustrates the flow from horizon settings and engagement to strategies, action plans, and measures of success. Cross-functional working groups will play a central role in operationalizing these strategies. Our framework was presented at the Academy of Management conference last year, and we were kindly invited to present it to police leaders at the Ontario Association of Chiefs of Police conference in June 23, 2025. Community consultation calendar. As instructed by this board, community engagement was the cornerstone of the plan. Our consultation calendar in May and June 2025 was intentionally broad, structured, and inclusive. This calendar reflects not just isolated events, but a systematic effort to gather diverse voices in a very intense engagement phase. In total, approximately 107 individuals participated in the in-person sessions. Representation was not institutional, but diverse in nature. Indigenous organizations, immigrants and newcomer centers, youth-focused groups, and social providers. This slide included elected officials at the municipal, regional, provincial, and federal levels, members of parliament, members of provincial parliament, Niagara Regional Council, and municipal councillors, alongside leaders from key institutions and community organizations. These range from Brock University, the District School Board, the Catholic District School Board, and Family and Children Services Niagara, to Community Addiction Services of Niagara, Community Care of St. Catharines and Thorold, and Quest Community Health Center. Also represented were organizations such as the Fort Erie Native Friendship Center, the Niagara Regional Native Center, the Niagara Peninsula Aboriginal Area Management Board, and Future Black Female, as well as public safety and justice partners, including the Niagara Falls Fire Department, Niagara Parks Commission, Niagara Transit, Correctional Services, Probation and Parole, the Niagara Detention Center, and the Ontario Ministry of the Attorney General. Cultural, faith, and service-based organizations such as the Islamic Society of Niagara Peninsula, Niagara Folk Arts Multicultural Center, Congregation B'nai Israel, and the Niagara Children's Safety Village, among others, reflecting the broad spectrum of community voices engaged in these discussions. The online community survey ran from May 9 to June 8, 2025. A total of 422 participants engaged with an 89% completion rate. The demographic profile tells us who was represented. 50% of participants were between 35 and 64 years old. 18% were 15 to 34 years old, and 22 were 60 years and older. Gender distribution was 53 female, 40% male, and 7% chose not to answer. Geographically, the strongest participation came from St. Catharines, followed by Welland, Niagara Falls, and Niagara-on-the-Lake. We also tracked representation among diverse groups. 14% self-identify as persons with disabilities, 6% as indigenous or visible minorities, and 4% as 2Ls LGBTQIA+. Community results and public concerns. When we asked about the most pressing public safety concerns, respondents highlighted the following main themes: social issues and public order, including homelessness, addiction, and mental health, were identified by 67% of participants. Property crimes, such as break-ins and thefts, follow closely at 66%. Organized crime, including drugs and trafficking, was selected by 60% of participants. Violent crime was noted by 46%. Traffic safety by 41%, hate crimes by 40%, and financial crimes by 39% of participants. When asked about future priorities, 76% of participants identify public safety and crime prevention as the most pressing area. This was followed by transparency and accountability, road safety, youth engagement, and technology and innovation. Confidence in the Niagara Regional Police Service ability to keep the community safe was generally favorable, with almost 2/3 of respondents expressing at least some level of confidence. 14% reported a neutral view, while smaller proportions indicated lower levels of confidence. When asked about value for money, a combined 41% of respondents agree or strongly agree, with 31% expressing a neutral view and 28% disagreed. Overall, the results suggest that the respondents recognize the service role in providing community safety and value, while also highlighting opportunities to further build trust and demonstrate effectiveness. So 5 themes emerged consistently across the community feedback. The first one, community engagement. So participants call for more outreach through school, public forums, social media, and stronger partnerships with social agencies in the community. The second, police visibility. There was a clear desire for more officers in public spaces, with emphasis on foot, bike, and regular patrols in both urban and rural settings. Third, trust and accountability. Calls for reinforced professional standards, greater transparency, and follow-up communication after incidents. Four, response times. Participants stress the need to improve emergency response while also addressing delays for non-urgent calls. Fifth, safety concerns. Issues including illegal drug activity, traffic violations, and violent crime, with recommendations for more prevention initiatives in collaboration with social services and community organizations. In this slide, you can see a few examples of the comments and ideas we received from participants. Altogether, we collected and analyzed 273 ideas and thoughts like this. Results from the workshops. The in-person sessions were carefully structured to set the right tone and maximize engagement. They began with welcoming remarks from the Police Service Board, either Vice Chair Capisvanu or Chair Kyokyo, followed by a land acknowledgement and additional remarks from the Chief of Police, Bill 40. Mr. Rani Ode, Manager of Corporate Strategy and Innovation, then provided an overview of the strategic planning process and the current work underway to develop the new plan. Participants engaged in 3 rounds of small group dialogue, each focused on priorities, opportunities, and collaboration. And facilitators captured these ideas, while the table host summarized and shared them with the larger group. Each table had at least a member of the service to ensure that we actively listen to our participants. This structure creates a safe and constructive space for open dialogue, helping to surface collective intelligence, break down silos, and foster shared ownership of solutions, ensuring that the outcomes truly reflected the voices of all participants. The result from these workshops was a clear set of themes. Participants talked about major concerns like homelessness, addictions, mental health, youth at risk, and the need to continue improving response times. They also wanted to see more officers visible in the community, being approachable and building trust. Priorities for change included stronger community engagement, cultural awareness, and trauma-informed training, hiring a more diverse workforce and more programs focused on youth. People also highlighted the importance of working closely with schools, housing, health, and social agencies and community organizations to tackle issues together. At the same time, participants pointed to opportunities for innovations such as using dashboards, artificial intelligence, CCTV, and public portals, as long as privacy and accountability safeguards are in place. They also emphasized the need to humanize police presence through meaningful day-to-day interactions. Finally, a call for transparency and accountability emerged with suggestions for increasing public progress reports on the strategic plan, updates on outcomes, for example. As you can see, these results are pretty much aligned with the information that was collected using our online survey. And next slide. So these are the results from the workshop with our internal members. We also engaged with them through a workshop and a survey. Officers and staff highlighted the importance of building on existing strengths, teamwork, effective leadership, community engagement, wellness programs, and modernization efforts. At the same time, they identified the need to improve staffing levels and workload balance, create clear career paths, and reinforce leadership training and mentorship. Members called for better internal communications and feedback channels to continue improving information flows. Opportunities were also highlighted, leveraging artificial intelligence, expanding online reporting and digital tools, partnering with social agencies to redirect non-police calls, and continue investing in wellness and reintegration support and programs. So to bring all this information together, we use both quantitative and qualitative methods. For example, we applied thematic analysis to categorize individual and group comments from surveys, workshops, and internal consultations. Feedback was grouped into key themes until saturation was reached, meaning that no new themes were emerging. This approach allowed us to identify patterns, confirm consistency across different sources of information, and translate community and staff priorities into practical strategies. This step was critical because it connected community and internal perspectives with evidence-based policing practices. From there, and guided by our methodological framework, we work with subject matter experts to develop operational action plans. It is important to note that the plan follows the Community Safety and Policing Act and aligns with the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan for the Niagara region. I also like to acknowledge the staff from the region who are here today with us and with whom we work continuously. As a result, the proposed strategic plan is structured around 4 interconnected priorities. These priorities reflect the voices of the community, the perspectives of our members, and the legislative framework that guide us. They are community trust and engagement, safe and inclusive communities, organizational health and accountability, and modernization and innovation. Each of these priorities is supported by distinct operational action plans that translate broad goals into concrete, measurable initiatives. They align with evidence-based policing practices and the Community Safety and Wellbeing Plan. Together, they represent a balanced approach, strengthening public confidence, building safer communities, supporting our members, and modernizing our tools and practices. So the first priority, community trust and engagement, of our proposed strategic plan is community trust and engagement. This focuses on building stronger relationships with the people we serve and increasing public confidence in policing. To advance this priority, we have developed 5 action plans. These include improving internal communication, increasing officer visibility in neighborhoods, and enhancing how we share information and results with the public. Also included are initiatives to advance reconciliation, equity, diversity, and inclusion within our service, as well as creating more youth-focused prevention and engagement programs. Success will be measured not just by numbers, but by how safe people feel in their communities, how much trust they place in us, and how connected youth, newcomers, and indigenous communities feel to the service, for example. The second priority of the proposed Police Service Board strategic plan is safe and inclusive communities. This is about making sure Niagara remains safe, equitable, and responsible to social social challenges we face. We know that many of today's public safety issues go beyond traditional policing, and that's why this priority is built around strong partnerships. Under this priority, we have several action plans. These include improving prisoner management and digital disclosure of evidence and enhancing our emergency preparedness so we're ready for major events or critical incidents. We're also advancing strategies to prevent gender-based violence and support victims and survivors, and fight human trafficking through multi-sector efforts that connect victims and hold offenders accountable. Other action plans focus on prevention and safety, including an integrated crime prevention strategy, a mental health strategy developed with health partners, an offender management platform, and a road and public safety strategy to address traffic risk and high collision areas. Finally, we are optimizing our specialized emergency management units to ensure that they are used effectively and where they are needed the most. We'll measure success through tangible outcomes like reducing crime severity and repeat victimization, improving road and public space safety, improving crisis responses, diverting more youth away from the justice system, and ensuring better support for victims and survivors of hate crime and gender-based violence. The third priority is organizational health and accountability. This is about supporting our workforce, building leadership, and making sure accountability is present at every level of the service. We know that a healthy organization is the foundation for effective policing. To achieve this, we have developed several key action plans. These include a career mapping and mentorship program to create clear career pathways and support succession planning, and an integrated financial management and performance strategy that links budgets directly to outcomes through transparent resource planning. We're also expanding wellness initiatives through an integrated member support and wellness strategy, with focus on work-life balance, reintegration, and strong programs to support member well-being. Other action plans focus on leadership and development. Our leadership and performance excellence framework will define clear standards for accountability and professional growth, while our training, leadership, and knowledge exchange strategy will foster continuous learning, mentorship, and innovation across the service. Finally, the sustainable infrastructure and assets management plan will ensure that our facilities, fleet, and equipment are modern, reliable, and able to meet operational demands. We will measure success by looking at improved staffing levels, stronger resource management, better internal communication, higher engagement and morale among our members, and more opportunities for leadership development. The fourth priority of our strategic plan is modernization and innovation. This is about using technology to make policing smarter, faster, and more accessible, while maintaining public trust in how these tools are used. To move this forward, we have several action plans. These include a cloud strategy and infrastructure modernization plan to upgrade our IT systems for greater resiliency and scalability, and a cybersecurity and data protection strategy to safeguard sensitive information from evolving threats. We're also advancing the next generation 911 technology, which will prepare us for the next generation of digital and real-time emergency response capabilities. Other action plans focus on responsible adoption of new tools, such as the responsible AI adoption and governance strategy, that will ensure that AI is used transparently and with safeguards in place. The Smart Tech Integration Program will bring together new police technologies like body-worn cameras, e-notes, digital evidence systems, and automate reporting to streamline frontline work. Finally, our strategy, innovation, and continuous improvement plan will embed a culture of ongoing improvement and evidence-based practice across the service. We will measure success through practical results, a modern and secure IT infrastructure, faster emergency response times, expanded online services for the community, improved real-time data for decision-making, and the responsible use of new technologies. So next, measures of success. As mentioned earlier, the strategic plan is not just about setting intentions, it is anchored in measurable outcomes. Each of the 4 priorities include clear success measures that enable us to track progress and report back transparently. These measures are designed to reflect both community expectations and organizational goals. They will also be translated into effective monitoring and reporting of progress to the Police Service Board and the public, ensuring accountability is visible throughout the execution of the plan. As you can see, the Police Service Board follow a comprehensive and evidence-based approach to create state-of-the-art, action-oriented plans that meet the evolving needs of Niagara diverse and distinct communities. Each operation action plan is guided by a logic framework approach that connects resources or inputs, activities, processes, and outcomes, and is linked to clear performance indicators and key results. This ensures our strategies are well-structured, measurable, and practical, with a strong focus on continuous improvement and delivery of value and results for the community. In conclusion, the proposed 2026-2029 strategic plan represents one of the most comprehensive consultation processes ever undertaken by the Niagara Regional Police Service Board. It reflects the voices of our community, the perspectives of our members, and the obligations set out in our legislative and governance frameworks. With that, the recommendation before you today is that the Niagara Regional Police Service Board receive and approve the strategic plan 2026-2029. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. I'll now go to members of Police Board to see if there's any questions for the presenter. Vice Chair Capsavanian.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I actually have a number of questions. Thank you for that presentation, and thank you for the work that was put in. I think I took part in most of the consultations, and a lot of work went in there. And if I remember correctly, during some of the presentations, one of the major things that came up was about EDI. And when I'm looking at the strat plan that has been presented, the EDI has been put as a sub-initiative and not a priority. So I have a few questions around that. And these could be to the chief or to you guys. I'm not sure who's going to answer them. The first question is why the EDI has not been framed as a core pillar to the strategic plan, given the repeated community feedback around racism, discrimination, and cultural safety.
Thank you for that question, and through you, Chair. We are, in fact, EDI was built in the design of the consultation process. So we were the first non-Indigenous Police Service Board in Ontario that starts and finishes its consultation with First Nation communities. In total, we had 7 workshops, and 2 of them were learning circles. And we, in my opinion, we went above and beyond with the consultation. These sessions were 3 hours long, and they're not just like meetings or regular conversations. In our process, one of the learning circles extended 5 hours. I think you were in that session, Vice Chair. It was very meaningful because there was a long conversation, but also an opportunity to really learn, unlearn, and reflect on different perspectives. One of the things is that because it is legislated and the EDI component, it's not only in one initiative or action plan, it is actually across different strategies. So EDI is embedded across the plan in both external service delivery and internal culture. And I'll just go through some examples to exemplify in concrete where it is. So for example, priority number 1, community trust and engagement, includes reconciliation, equity, diversity, and inclusion frameworks that goes beyond. And now we're working to develop a diversity plan that will have the oversight of one of the deputy chiefs, not just an area, but at the higher level of accountability. And that includes a cultural safety training, trauma-informed practice, improved language, accessibility supports, and sustained partnerships with Indigenous, newcomers, youth, and community organizations. In terms of operations, action plans require equity impact checks during design and overview, We did that internally with our team. And we will disaggregate some of the indicators on to report better the information to the Police Service Board. We did that also in Priority 3, Organizational Health and Accountability, which has a strong commitment to diverse recruitment, fair promotion, and career mapping, including leadership training and member wellness, with clear standards for respectful workplaces and corrective actions where needed. Progress will be tracked, as I said, through dashboards, objective key results, and specific EDI measurements, such as training completion, representation, retention, engagement, and community trust indicators on a survey that we're planning to launch for the community. So that's what I can say about how this is incorporated into not just one priority within the action plan, but across the whole strategic plan.
Sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to top up the answer. We're also started a process with leadership of Deputy Lagretaria for a diversity plan. So we are looking to gather or use the feedback that we received through this process to leverage that and use it towards the diversity plan. So we will have a dedicated diversity plan outside of this plan, diversity strategic plan, I should say, for the same period of time, 2026 to 2029. Thanks.
Thank you for that, through you, Chair. I still don't understand why EDI is not a key priority. Like, what rationale do we have that was used to prioritize technology as a pillar while EDI remains a sub-initiative? And when you talk about the last comment that you gave, Rani, I think that is more for the service as opposed to the community. We are talking about community safety here. And so when you're looking at, we've recently got the Bill C9 that was tabled, right, to amend the hate crimes in the criminal code. And that, for me, reinforces why EDI has to be a standalone, because I think there is a need in the service for the service officers and the civilian members to have serious training around. We cannot just embed it and have it as a plan, right, and that have no measured outcomes. I know you said it's kind of intertwined, but I really, really think that the board has to insist that there is an EDI standalone priority, because I personally know that there is issues that I have experienced myself in here related to safe places and inclusion and things like that. So can we, I'm proposing that the EDI be put along as a standalone pillar.
Any comment to that?
Well, thank you for that comment, and through you, Chair. As I said, the EDI component is not just one section of the strategic plan, because the new approaches in policing across different services have called to not just have an EDI liaison officer, but having all officers knowing about the EDI principles. That's why we take this issue very seriously. We're actually working on the EDI plan for the next cycle. And as you can see, it is embedded across the different strategies within the plan.
Thank you for that. I'll go to Member Yip and then Member Lawson.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I've raised this before as well in terms of EDI being best practice is for EDI to be baked into the strategic plan, for there to be something very clear and specific about EDI being in the strategic plan, rather than being a separate plan. I know when I've raised this before, there's been discussion about that the new act requires that the service adopt a diversity plan. However, from Section 37, 1E of the new act, it says, prepare and adopt a diversity plan to ensure that the members of the police service reflect the diversity of the area for which the board has policing responsibility. That is very much about human resources for the service, rather than EDI with respect to how officers are engaging in the community, how the community is experiencing their interactions with police. So
I'm going to go back, I mean, I've raised it a number of times, and so has Vice Chair Capisadanu, that it has to be part of the strategic plan, a meaningful part of the strategic plan. And so far, it's not. And again, what the Act says is it's talking about a very different thing than our strategic plan. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Yip. Member Lawson.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So to echo Vice Chair Capizavanu and Member Yep, I think what I'm personally seeing is that I would propose that we actually have 5 pillars rather than 4 pillars. And the first pillar is EDI, like the EDI portion. And the way I'm kind of thinking about it in my own mind is the fact that modernization and innovation, which we have under there's a lot of IT projects as an example. It would be assumed that IT is going to affect and the other pillars as well, yet we do have a separate pillar for IT. So I think the proposed, I understand and I appreciate the comments about how EDI is kind of baked in to the suggestions throughout the 4 current pillars. However, it was not clear in the presentation itself from the words, yes, but the presentation itself, no. But the fact that EDI doesn't have its own separate pillar, which I think is the key part here, and to me, I agree with both Vice Chair and Member Yip, that it should be a separate pillar and number 1, along with baking it into the rest of the pieces. It's just, I don't know if there's actually a question there. It's more of a feedback.
Okay, no, thank you for that. Any response to that, Hector?
Yes, we'll take that recommendation.
Okay. Thank you. I see no other speakers. So we're going to move this. Member McKendrick will move it, seconded by Member Gibson. And then it's that the board receive the presentation and approve the NRPS Strategic Plan 2026-2029 as presented, and that do we need any more for direction for the chief in this motion? Would you like to see more to it or just receive?
Through you, Chair, I'd like to just receive it and then provide direction back to the chief to have it rewritten.
Okay, all right. So, okay, so we'll leave it at that. Any discussion to the motion? I'm seeing none. All those in favor? Oh, I did move. The mover was Member McKendrick and seconded by Member Gibson.
May I have a comment?
Sure, yep.
Yeah, just to be clear, we're not approving this because I think we all agree that we need that extra pillar, i.e. EDI. So we're simply receiving this today. Just, I want to make sure I'm clear on that.
So we'll take approval, right? Thank you for that, Member Gibson. So we'll take the approve vote and refer back to this, to the chief for an amendment. Chief?
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your comments and for your engagement during the process. I wonder if, prior to voting on the recommendation, if it might be appropriate to make a minor amendment to it to be reflective of something like the following, that the Niagara Regional Police Service receive and approve the proposed Niagara Regional Police Service Strategic Plan 2026 to 2029, subject to the inclusion of a 5th priority being equity, diversity, and inclusion, which would allow us to continue on because the strategic plan does inform budget considerations and the things that are very time sensitive for the service and for the board right now.
Okay, so is there an amendment on the member? Yep. That was recommended by the chief, so it's up to you to make the recommendation if you want. Or
Yeah,
the
no,
amendment.
I don't know if I'm comfortable with that because I want clarification that subject to the inclusion of an EDI pillar, I mean, that still needs to come back to the board for formal approval. So I hesitate to do anything that suggests that we approve anything at this stage without that very important piece included.
Thank you. Member Lawson?
Through you, Chair, I'd like to echo Member Yip's comments. I think the key part to me is while the strategic plan and the budgets are tied together at some point, lots of police services have operated without timely, or not just police services, but organizations operate without in-year strategic plans and still approve their budget. So I think to me, while they're tied together for a budgetary purpose, I think they are separate from a procedural purpose, and I would not be comfortable making that recommendation either. So I support Member Yip.
All right. Any other members? Member Gibson?
Well, thank you, Chair. I agree with those comments wholeheartedly. I think the real question is, Chief, how long would it take for the fifth pillar EDI to be created and put into the plan?
Through you, Chair, and thank you for your question. That was so my answer to your question is I don't know, because we're going to have to go back and re-engineer the plan now, but our timelines for the budget are prescribed. We're presenting to you on October 16th. And I do acknowledge Member Lawson's comments that the responsibility is to provide adequate and effective policing. Where I'm maybe struggling a little bit is part of adequate and effective policing is the strategic plan. So that's why this is a little bit different, I think, than the private sector, but we'll work within it. We'll undertake to be back for the next board meeting, I guess. Unfortunately, this was our first opportunity to present the strat plan due to other competing pressures. I don't know if would a month be reasonable?
Yeah, Member
There,
Gibson?
thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just going to comment that, you know, we know 90% of our plan. Can we not, you know, even though we got to wait a little bit to bring in the EDI pillar, can we not already start working towards the other ones, even though it's not officially approved, but can we not set up and begin that work so that when it does get approved, we're already, you know, working on it and moving forward? So just a comment.
Chief?
Thank you, through you, Chair. This strategic plan is set to be 2026 to 2029. I'm satisfied that we will be ready for 2026. Perhaps I'm overly sensitive to the budget process, but I have confidence in our team that we'll come back and we'll bring something back that meets the needs of the board. And we'll try to do that within a month, and if we have it done in advance, we will consult with the executive director to see if it's appropriate to bring it forward in another venue.
All right,
We
thank
will
you, Chief.
undertake to meet your needs.
All right, thank you, Chief. Any other comments, questions? So right now it's to receive the presentation and refer back to the chief to come back for our next meeting. Okay? All those in favor? That carries. Thank you, Hector, for your presentation. Chief, are the OPP here yet?
Yes, Chair. Thank you, Dr. Perez and Ronnie, for your efforts.
Yes.
I just want to acknowledge their good work that they've put into this, and
Yes.
it's my pleasure to
Go ahead.
introduce Chief Superintendent Early from the Ontario Provincial Police. She has come this morning to provide an overview of the helicopter program. I think prior to the Chief Superintendent taking the podium, I would first be remiss if I did not acknowledge the support of the provincial government in this undertaking. Premier Ford, the Solicitor General Michael Kersner, the Deputy DiTomoso, Assistant Deputy Mr. Ken Weatherall, and the Commissioner of the OPP for their support of our service and our community with this undertaking. And I'm not sure if the Chief Superintendent requires a moment to set up her equipment.
Yeah, if we maybe take a 2-minute recess, just so we can set up the equipment. Thank you. All right, so, Chief, do you want to introduce? Like to make the introductions once again?
Thank you, Chair. It's my pleasure to reintroduce the Chief Superintendent Early from the Ontario Provincial Police. She oversees their aviation services, and she's been a great partner over the past 6 or 7 months as we've been working towards this. So I should want to introduce her and thank her for making herself available this morning.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
How's that? I have to make sure you hear me because I don't know if you can see me behind this thing. I'm somewhat vertically challenged, but that's okay. As the chief mentioned, my name is Dana Early. Obviously, the uniform gives it away. I'm a member of the OPP. I have the great fortune of being in charge of our Field Support Bureau, which obviously includes our aviation services. It also includes our tactical teams, our emergency response teams, K-9. Like I said, I have all the exciting platforms, and I certainly point that out to other members of the OPP that I have a great job. So thank you again for allowing me to be here. I'll kind of go through my presentation. Obviously, I have video as well to kind of show you what the helicopters can do for your community, and then I welcome any questions or comments at the end. Okay. So we have been in the business of aviation services, we as in the OPP, since 1974. In fact, we purchased our first helicopter in 1974. It was a single engine, and then used it more in northern areas of the province. And then as we progressed, we flipped over to what we call now a twin engine, which replaced our single engine. The main reason for that is that our twin engine allows us to go over water and allows better activity at night as well. So in 1991, we switched over to what we currently have, which is an HC-135, which has the dual engines. So the OPP maintains an operating certificate and an aircraft maintenance operating certificate from Transport Canada. So that allows us not only to operate, but also we service our helicopters as well. In addition to some of the certificates I mentioned, we also have hangar facilities, which has been approved by Transport Canada to carry out all our maintenance. We have parts and tooling systems. We also have a pilot training program, which we have established over the last 50 years. We also have a newly developed training, or a technical flight officer. So our technical flight officer is actually a sworn member that rides in the helicopter that looks after all of the, I will call it the camera systems, the computer systems, and really during some of the videos you'll hear the correspondence of what they assist the members on the ground, whether it be for a search and rescue or an apprehension. So the technical flight officer program is newly developed. We will be assisting Niagara in training your technical flight officers as well. So that incorporates in classroom as well as flight time too with us. Okay. And we also have an aircraft police equipment profile. So that is the number of technical pieces and cameras that are on the helicopter. They include cell and satellite airborne video, downlinking, airborne cellular, locating for lost individuals. So there's a number of different pieces of kit that we have on the helicopter. You'll quite often hear to it being referred to as an uplift package because it just brings us up to another level when it comes to search and rescue and apprehensions, traffic involvement, all of that stuff too. And the videos will certainly have different examples of that. So in our helicopters today, the multifunctioning displays include a FLIR camera. I'm sure everyone's heard of FLIR cameras. So that is our infrared sensors and laser designations. We also have night vision systems. We also have hard drive recorders, augmented reality mapping systems, which is hard to explain, but better to show you. So it's included in one of the videos. And also, these all work together to provide real-time video and photos that we can then transmit to the officers on ground. Okay. So I have about 5 videos to show you that will display some of the equipment that I've talked about and then the use of the helicopters. So, sorry, next one. So our helicopters are usually based for the roles that are listed up there. So our search and rescue would probably be the most used in regards to our helicopters. Major events, so that is anything that we would require overwatch. Currently, right now, we have a significant warrant ongoing that includes 5 or 6 different properties. So we have the helicopter up in that area providing overwatch for officer and public safety. We obviously provide aerial surveillance as well, apprehension, tactical response, and then, of course, night operations. So the next video, I think the next one is, so this video shows the FLIR. It's a great, there's no video, or sort of no audio to this one. So the one individual that you will see in behind the barn, he'll pop out here soon, that's actually the suspect. In behind at the bottom left corner, you can see that those are the members that are taking cover right now because they are not, I don't know if it's playing their stuff. There we go. They are not aware of where the suspect is, so they don't move until the helicopter actually starts giving them the location of the suspect. So this was a barricaded individual who then left the residence he was in. He was known to have weapons. So for officer safety reasons, we have overwatch here, providing it by the helicopter, and then we are communicating with the team that is now moving in. At the same time, the mapping, that was a that was a distraction technique, if you saw the flashbang there, because we weren't sure if there's other people in those other buildings. At the same time, we are also speaking to the members on the road, so not just the team that's chasing or trying to apprehend the suspect, we're also talking to the cruisers and getting them into location because we can see where he is heading. Sorry, Steph. Oh. Oh, it's gonna start again. Sorry, you wanna just go on to the next one? Yeah. We apprehended that person. You have to trust me on that one. This is a video of the night vision. So this video will show you This video will show you the difference when you don't have it and when you do have it. So all of our pilots, as well as our technical flight officers, have the night vision goggles. So this is a search and rescue. And the screen obviously to the left. I don't know why it's cutting out. Is unaided, so that's without your night vision. The night vision also assists our pilots in landing low visibility environments, which we've had to do at times, obviously, to assist someone on the ground or to assist officers on the ground. The next video is the shot over augmented reality mapping system that I mentioned earlier. So if you can play that one, Steph, please. Thank you. So when you're in the air, you have to appreciate we're usually anywhere between, on average, 1,200 feet in the air. So it's hard to tell where we are at times because of the area that we are flying in. So the mapping overlay system provides exactly what road is where. So the picture to the right there is available to our technical flight officer. So he or she can either zoom in. So for traffic initiatives, we use this quite a bit. So we can zoom in or we can then zoom out to have a better idea of what area we are in. This has helped us tremendously. We started doing flights over Toronto, I want to say about 4 months ago, and obviously we're not familiar with the city as much as our other areas. So the mapping system has helped us tremendously to better serve Toronto. This one does have video. It's an example of an apprehension. Audio will really provide how the helicopter feeds the officers on the ground. It's really choppy. choppy. I don't know. It wasn't like that.
CFOPP, we have visual. He is still working along the fence line, working south.
That's our pilot.
K9, you
technical
are
flight
on
officer.
Or sorry, north along the bush line towards 26. I jumped in my car and I lost sight of him. Was staying along the tree line and the fence line.
This is Alpha 354, standby. Aviation, go ahead.
Aviation, I have him. K9, you're about 100 meters from him on the right track. He's 100 meters in front of you along the fence line. Along the bush line there, he's running.
So you can see here that the technical flight officer has gone from FLIR to just the normal camera, and that is so that we can provide information to the members
We're
on
in
ground.
black with white lettering on the back of the jacket.
The description of the suspect.
About 50 to 75 in front of you, 50 to 75 meters. Working directly east now. K9 is on him. About 30 meters. He's running again. Meters. K9 has contact. Has a grip.
And the last video I have for you is
When he came out of the tree line.
the next one. Yeah. Yes. So this one will pull at your heartstrings for sure. But if you can play it, please.
When he came out of the tree line, he moved south along the fence row, or sorry, north along the fence row, watching a helicopter.
Yep. Thank you.
Please, where's your emergency?
In Sauble Beach, Ontario. My son, who has special needs, who's 6 years old, is missing. He's been missing for about 45 minutes. We've been looking for him.
Any idea where he might have gone?
I think he's in the forest behind our property. I've checked everywhere else I can think of, and I can only go so far back by myself in the bush. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to stay put and wait for police, or am I go out looking again? It'll be dark before we know it.
Earth to OPP helicopter.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you give us a rough idea of where you saw the object?
Yeah, it's just near the water line there. What we're seeing here is what appears to be a person in a prone position. CFOPP to any ERT guys down there. Yeah, does anybody on the ground there have a set of NVGs, night vision goggles?
Yeah, Team 3 does.
Okay, so from CFOPP, what I'm doing is firing a laser right now. Just wonder if somebody could use their goggles and see if you can see that laser.
Okay, 10-4.
So you've got several officers now making their way to it, and you're actually not far, maybe 20 meters.
London 6 Lima 087.
Go ahead.
We're bringing him out. He appears to be in good condition, but I want to get him checked. Thank you, helicopter.
Yeah, 10-4, that's awesome, boys.
Sir, permit you, please.
That video is a great example of what we do day in and day out when it comes to search and rescue capabilities with the helicopter, and just the different techniques as we can use with the on-ground officers. So the pilot using the night vision goggles to display something to our teams on the ground. I know when you watch the video, you think you're 20 to 30 meters from the child, but it's really thick brush there, and it's hard to appreciate what our members on the ground are seeing. And that's why the helicopter pilot and the technical flight officers were so quick to say, I'll point a laser that way, your night vision will automatically hit on that and lead you right to them. So it's incredible the amount of work that can be done with the helicopters. So any request for our helicopters currently goes through our Provincial Operations Center, and that is from any service. So if somebody is having an emergency and requires one of our aviation supports, whether it be a helicopter or a fixed wing, then they contact our Provincial Operations Center, and then we will assist them. So that's how, I guess, emergent needs right now for any aviation is handled for other services. So as I mentioned before, we have 50 years of experience that we are happy to share with Niagara. I'm very excited to be working with your police service, and I really welcome the future and what it looks like. So I welcome any questions.
Again, thank you for your presentation. It's very informative. Looking forward to that helicopter. I do have a couple questions, but I'll go to members to see if they have any questions. Member Yip?
Thank you, through you, Chair. My question isn't actually for Chief Superintendent Early, and I don't know if the chief will want to comment on it. There's been a lot of discussion online and comments on news articles and so on about the helicopter and in relation to our budget. And so I felt the need to ensure that this was said out loud. And again, if the chief wants to comment, that's excellent. But on September the 4th, there was a letter from the Assistant Deputy Minister of the Ministry of the Solicitor General, and part of the letter says, "I would like to take this opportunity to reassure you that the Niagara Regional Police Service will not be responsible for any of the costs associated with the procurement and operation of the helicopters. One of the two helicopters will provide air support to the Niagara Regional Police Service and will be owned and operated by the Ontario Provincial Police. Its operation in the Niagara area would include funding for tactical flight officers from the Niagara Regional Police Service as the service of jurisdiction. All associated costs will be funded by the province. The Niagara Regional Police Service had previously expressed interest in having up to 5 tactical flight officers as part of this initiative. Should the Niagara Regional Police Service wish to proceed, the associated costs would be funded by the province through a transfer payment agreement." So again, not a question, just something that I felt it was important to say out loud for the public, that we are not bearing any of the costs in the police budget. And again, I don't know if the chief wanted to comment, but I just wanted to say it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Chief, anything to add to that?
Thank you, Chair. I think Member Yip did a great job of referencing that letter, and that correspondence was provided to us to provide an assurance to the board and to Regional Council that there were no associated costs. Further to that, I can advise that on Monday, the Chief Superintendent and myself, the Solicitor General's office, had a meeting to discuss the transfer payment agreements and the path forward. But again, salary, benefits, training, operating expenses for the tactical flight officers, all covered by the province. In addition, the Chief Superintendent is also going to provide us with assistance in preparing job descriptions, a list of equipment that's required, work with us to identify a forward operating base for the helicopter. So they have been very, very supportive, and that was why I felt it was appropriate in my opening comments to acknowledge the Premier, Solicitor General, his office, because they are fully funding this in support of our service and our community. So thank you for bringing that forward, Member. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for that. Member Yip, is there any other questions from members? No? Yeah, that's where I was going to. There is a time frame though, right? If I'm not mistaken, it's 5 years that the province will be responsible for it? Or?
We did have that was a question that I posed on Monday, and there is no end date prescribed. We are working through what the transfer agreement would look like, but we started with a 5-year window to start the discussion, which I believe is in keeping with Ottawa and Toronto and whatnot. But I'll invite the Chief Superintendent to provide additional information. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Just another question in regard in your presentation, or actually, yeah, prior to that, you stated that your department does the training for the
technical flight officers, yes, we will.
So what does that entail? Would they need to have some experience prior, I would assume, before?
Not necessarily, because all the equipment that we do have that I demonstrated in some of the videos, we will teach them that. One thing that we do look for is that they can maintain their wellness in the air.
Okay, so that's our criteria then.
I think when we do take them on flights, they'll know right away if this is not physically for them. Yeah, some people just get airsick and that's that, and some don't realize it until they are in a helicopter. So that's some of the reasons why we incorporate flying time as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you have 2 officers in each
We ha-
helicopters?
Yeah, each will have a pilot and a sworn member, yeah, an officer. So there's always at least one officer in the helicopter. So we do have some pilots that are sworn officers, but the majority of our pilots are now civilian members. They're not sworn. So our technical flight officer carries the sworn capability, so he or she can then testify in court, deliver evidence, yeah, and assist on the ground if need be.
Okay. Just one more question, just in regards to budget.
Sure.
The cost of something like this to operate, like, you're looking at several, well, I think it was stated 5 officers, or 5, whatever you call them, pilots or whatever. Are they always, like, on duty, or is it 24/7, or is it, how does that work?
Yeah, great question, and that's something that the chief and I and our teams will work together. So probably about 6 months ago when we first connected about this, I started to ask for data. Can you start scraping the data of your calls from the last 5 years? So we can take a look at when on average do you have a lot of search and rescue issues or auto thefts, but this is, our priority is obviously the border as well. So, but we want to make sure that we're serving the community the best we can. So we'll work with the data and your calls for service to make sure that the schedule meets the community needs.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. I see no other members with any questions or comments, so thank you for your presentation. Again, we're looking forward to it. Have a great day.
Great, thank you very much.
Okay, yeah, so I'm going to have a mover and seconder. Moved by Vice Chair Capizavanu, seconded by Member Lawson, that the presentation be received. Is there any comments? Any discussion? No? I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Thank you to the presenter once again. And also, just to go back to our strategic plan, I know we were in a hurry to get to the next presentation, but I want to thank Hector, Perez, and Randy for their work on the strategic plan, and everybody else that was involved. I know it was a lot of work, and it looks like a great pathway forward, so thank you. I just want to thank you for that. All right. Next is number 8, consent items. I'd like to move items 8.1 to 8.11 in block. Moved by Member Yip, second by Vice Chair Capizavanu, that the information be received. Is there any questions, any items? I have Member Yip and then Vice Chair Capizavanu. Member Yip?
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I have a number of questions and then some comments about item 8.4, safer public spaces. Through you, Chair, I'll of course start with the questions. What do we expect that this renewed posture will reasonably accomplish? And do we have evidence that those accomplishments have been achieved elsewhere?
Is that direct to the chief?
Yeah, the chief or the deputy chief, they're both signed off on the report.
Chief?
Thank you,
Why?
Chair, through you. I just wonder if I could ask Member Yip just to repeat the question, please. I was distracted for a moment.
With respect to item 8.4, safer public spaces approach, what do we expect that this renewed posture will reasonably accomplish? And do we have evidence that those accomplishments have been achieved elsewhere?
Thank you for your question. It is a very relevant question. It's an important question. Over the past decade, law enforcement's view with respect to matters related to illicit drug use have evolved, as this board would know. There was a time when the law enforcement belief or the posture was just say no to drugs. And over the course of the last time, it has evolved to the support of supervised consumption sites, trying to help educate people, and viewing it solely as a health issue. The effects of a singular focus have now extended beyond just public health, impacting community safety, quality of life, and public trust and confidence in law enforcement's ability to maintain order more broadly. We recognize that there will be a range of views on this approach. Addiction is an illness, and it is not our intent to criminalize individuals who are struggling with substance abuse or use. Our commitment is to create safer, more welcoming public spaces for all residents, and to do so, we will continue working alongside our partners in public health and social services to ensure that those in need are connected with support and resources. We are alive to potential feedback or concern from some community partners. For instance, we have asked ourselves if a byproduct of taking this posture would be that persons using illicit drugs go into hiding or dark spaces or alleyways to use their to support their addiction, and if so, would there be unintended consequences like increases in overdoses? We have also, through our consultation, been made aware of some concern that police might target supervised consumption sites to, in the furtherance of enforcement. And we have tried our best to alleviate those concerns, because that is certainly not our intended goal of this. Our hope is to maximize public health and to maximize public safety at the same time. As we heard in the discussion by Dr. Perez and Mr. O'Day, community safety is measured not only in statistics, but also in the perception of crime and how safe people feel in public spaces, in school zones, in parks, in the middle of a business community. The Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police in January 2025 updated their position paper with respect to the decriminalization of illicit drugs. And to try to get to the point of Member Gibbs' question, to move from the singular focus of prevention, education, treatment, which we all recognize are important to identify the root causes and to identify long-term recovery plans. But enforcement does provide a pathway to potentially more timely treatment. Part of our strategy through our consultation is to, and part of our strategy will be to provide people we're dealing with on the streets with information on how they can start the journey towards recovery. Our goal is to help people that are addicted to illicit drugs no longer be addicted, on one hand. On the other hand, it is to create an environment where family members can walk their kids to school without interacting with persons using illicit drugs. On the first day of school, in my opening comments, I spoke about the road traffic safety initiative on the back to school day. We also arrested 11 people using illicit drugs in places where parents would be walking their kids to school. So it's a multifaceted approach. We intend to track the arrests. We intend to track related data like overdoses so that we are fully informed as we move forward to change our posture in the future if need be. But, you know, as I referenced, in the last 10 years, we've gone from just say no to here, use drugs in a supervised consumption site, and here's how you do it. And our belief is that that posture needs to be revisited.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. I have a number of other questions. Some of them you've slightly touched on here, but I'm going to be asking you to expand. So the report notes that this approach is intended to prioritize accountability while ensuring access to appropriate supports. But I don't see any mention of what those supports are and how people will be connected to them in the remainder of the report. So I'm looking for you to explain, because also a great big challenge is the actual access and availability of those supports. So I would really hate to see people being arrested and essentially handed a pamphlet, and that's the extent of the support that can be offered to them.
So I can't, I don't think it would be appropriate for me to talk about what happens after someone's arrested and they're part of the justice system. I mean, that's part of the justice system. But our goal is to provide the people that we're interacting with contact names, phone numbers, treatment options, either prior to arrest, if they choose to leave the area, or subsequent to arrest.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. And again, this is something that was alluded to a little bit in the answer to the first question. What have been the discussions about this renewed posture with the agencies that will be impacted?
So members of our community-oriented response and engagement unit have spoken with agencies that are referenced on our information package, the likes of Positive Living, Niagara Assertive Street Outreach, Reach Niagara, Fort Erie Native Friendship Center, Niagara Region Native Center, Community Addiction Services of Niagara, and of course our Coast team. And the response has been favorable, with the exception of the question about concerns that we may be targeting supervised consumption sites, which is what I referenced earlier.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. The report gives the example, and again, you mentioned it in the answer to your first question, of 10 criminal arrests for drug possession on September 2nd, 2025, as a clear example of this initiative's positive impact. What was the positive impact, and how do we know? The arrests themselves, it's extremely arguable that the arrests themselves are a positive impact.
So I thought I said 11. If I said 10, I apologize. I think the number was 11 arrests, not 10.
Well, there were 11. In the report, it says that there were, let me just skim to it here. It says that there were 11, 11, the efforts resulted in 11 provincial offense notices being issued, 3 under the Liquor License Act and 8 under the Highway Traffic Act, along with 10 criminal arrests for drug possession.
Okay, so thank you. So your question is, what's the benefit of that?
Well, it says that it's a clear example of this initiative's positive impact, but outside of arrests, which I think it's arguable if that's a positive impact, I'm not sure what the clear example is.
I think that, as I referenced earlier, there is crime stats, and there is the perception of crime and the feelings of safety. I think it is without dispute that when you remove somebody from an environment who's consuming illicit drugs in a public space or somewhere where a mother is walking her child to school, there is a positive impact when that person is removed from that scenario for the member of the public or the community member.
Okay, thank you. Through you, Chair. What evidence do we have? So at the end of the report, it talks about how it speaks to a number of the goals in the strategic plan. What evidence do we have that this approach will increase public safety, reduce property crime, reduce opioid use, and build trust with our communities? And with whom does the service believe they're building trust?
I think it's, well, I know that I receive calls regularly from community members that are concerned with the open air use of illicit drugs and how there is a concurrent fear of crime or feeling of not being safe. I personally received those calls. I'm sorry, what was the rest of your question?
So, yeah, what evidence do we have that it will increase public safety, reduce property crime, reduce opioid use, and build trust with our communities? And with whom does the service believe they're building trust?
Well, I believe that the more people that we help get into treatment will reduce substance abuse. I think that there is significant crossover between the use of illicit drugs and related crimes. I believe that if, with the passage of time, as this problem is reduced, we will see a concurrent reduction in crime in those communities.
Thank you, Chief. Through you, Chair, I think I'm concerned about the "I believe" statements with respect to evidence. This is difficult. The report notes that some people will think that this is too harsh and that other people will think that it doesn't go far enough. My concern is that this renewed posture disproportionately impacts Indigenous, racially marginalized, queer, and unhoused populations and is not trauma-informed. There are plenty of people in our communities who use illicit drugs, but they don't need to be doing it out in the open because they are housed and can use the substances to which they are addicted in the privacy of their homes. Arresting, searching, and possibly proceeding with charges for simple possession will traumatize and re-traumatize Indigenous, racially marginalized, queer, and unhoused people who use substances, further decrease trust in police within those communities, increase desperation, drive people to engage in more sex work, more petty theft, and result in people using substances in even less safe environments like local drug houses or places where emergency services can't easily get to them. We cannot arrest our way out of the opioid crisis. It is the result of significant societal failures much further upstream. I know that this is operational, and so we cannot change that this is the approach that will be taken, but I am gravely concerned about this. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Yip. I have Vice Chair Capsavanu.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Most of the questions were actually touched on by Member Laura Yip, so thank you for that. I think the other question that remains for me is, prior to the Royal Assent happening, were we aware that this was coming, and was it accounted for in the budget? Because we've got a part here where there's going to be training for members in relation to the arrests and things like that. Is there a budget for that already?
No, we are in the throes of preparing a training bulletin, which I anticipate will be released to our membership in the next 48 hours. We're not looking at running additional training on top of the Community Safety and Policing Act. The Deputy Chief Superintendent, members of our core unit will attend briefings. I don't see it being a material cost with respect to training.
Thank you, Vice Chair Capsavanu. Any other questions from members? I'm not seeing any. In regards to any other items, I'm also not seeing any. So then I'll call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. We'll go to new business. 9.1, moved by, sorry. We're going to new business now, yes. Put your mic on, I can't.
I was just typing an email to Deb explaining to her that there is a matter of new business that I intend to raise. So I wasn't paying attention, I was paying attention to the email. If we're at the new business stage though, I can,
If you can raise it under other new business, is that
yes.
okay? Under other new business?
Yeah, okay, I didn't,
Yeah.
sure.
So we'll go 9.1, moved by Member Lawson, second by Member McKendrick, that the board approve the attached access to closed-circuit television cameras agreement between Niagara Regional Police Service and the Corporation of the City of Welland. Any comments or questions to that? Any discussion? No? I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. 9.2 is the firing range use by Partner Services Memorandum of Understanding, moved by Member Still online? Okay, Member Still is online now, so moved by Member Still, second by Member Gibson, that the board approve the attached memorandum of the understanding between Niagara Regional Police Service and the Waterloo Regional Police Service respecting the use of the NRPS training unit firing and tactical ranges by members of the WRPS. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. 9.3, the creation of a memorial and sculpture. Moved by Member Yip, second by Member Lawson, that the board approve the recommendations outlined in the report on the creation of a memorial and sculpture for the fallen Niagara Regional Police Service members. Any discussion? Member Lawson?
Yes, thank you, through you, Chair. I just wanted to say thanks to the service and to the chief for leading this initiative. We talked about it a number of years ago, and I'm glad to see that it's come forward and recognizing those that are affected by it. And I'm just really glad to see that this initiative is actually coming forward, especially before the end of my term here. So thank you to the service. I understand it's a very sensitive topic. Lots of people are involved in it, and I'm just glad to see that it's actually come to fruition.
Thank you, Member Lawson. I now go to Member McKendrick.
Jen said what I was going to say, so thank you, and good to see it come to fruition and all the complexities integrated. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I will go to Member Steele.
Thank you, Chair. I apologize for my lateness today, but we had the Francophone flag celebration here in the city of Port Colborne with our Francophone community this morning, so that's why I was late. I'm in favor of this, and the two members have echoed what I was going to say, but I would like to refer this back to staff, only because there are no dollar amounts attached to this, and I think if we're going to approve this, we need to know how much. We are in the middle of budget deliberations, so if we can refer this back to staff so that when it comes back to us, it actually has the full costing of this, so we as a board know. So that when we support this, we know what it's going to cost as far as how we're moving forward with it.
So Councillor, or Member Steele, you want to refer this back to staff?
Yes, so that can be brought back to us
All right.
either at our next meeting or during budget deliberations
Okay, I'll have to-
with the full costing, because there is no dollar value
Okay, so there's
attached
no
to this. And I think as a board, we need to know that.
If it's a referral, there's no discussion to it. So I will go directly to members to vote on whether they want it referred back to staff. All those in favor? And that carries. Thank you, Member Steele. So it will be referred back to staff with the report with the total costs and estimates, correct? Yeah, okay.
That's correct.
All right. Thank you for that. We go to 9.4, proposed meeting schedule, moved by Vice Chair Capsavanu, seconded by Member McKendrick, that the board approve the Niagara Police Service Board 2026 schedule of regular board and committee meetings as presented. Any discussion? I'm seeing none. I'll call the question. All those in favor? And that carries. 9.5, Police Service Board bylaw, policing complaints received from the Inspector General. Moved by member Still, second by member Gibson, that the board adopt the draft bylaw as appended to the report, and further, that the board chair and executive director be authorized to make any supplementary administrative amendments to the bylaw that may be required following any additional clarification of the CSPA and its regulations that may be received by the Ministry of the Solicitor General. Any discussion? I'm seeing none. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Yeah, that carries. 9.6, moved by member Yip, second by Vice Chair Capsavanu, that the board approve the revised Schedule A of its imposition of charges for police service bylaw as appended to the report. And further, that an annual inflationary index be applied to maintain alignment with the cost of labor and supplies. Any discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. Next is items 9.7, 9.9 is special fund requests. Before we consider these special fund requests listed under items 9.7 to 9.9, I would like to remind members of the public that the special fund does not form part of the police operating budget and is separate from the regional tax base. The special fund is a discretionary pool of funds which is used for grants and charitable donations. Disbursements of the funds are made in accordance with the guidelines provided in the Community Safety and Policing Act and with the Board Bylaw 403-2024, Special Fund Administration, Limitations, and Guidelines. Okay. So 9.7, moved by member Lawson, second by member McKendrick, that the board authorize a special fund donation as outlined in the report and approve payment in the requested amount, which is the Youth Resources Niagara versus Niagara Regional Police Service Basketball Game and Barbecue, which is $1,000. Any discussion? See none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? That carries. And 9.8, special funds requests. You see them here from 1 to 5. Crime Stoppers Niagara Golf Tournament is $1,200. Powwow and Lacrosse Tournament is $3,000. Welland Mayor's Charity Event is $1,400, and a GNCC Niagara Economic Summit is $1,424. It is moved by member Still, second by member Gibson, that the board authorizes special fund donations as outlined in the report and approve payment in the requested amounts. Any discussion? Seeing none. I call the question. All those in favor? That's carried. And 9.9. Again, it's the Big Brothers and Sisters of Niagara Golf for Kids' Sakes, $1,450. And Heartland Forest Nature Experience Pumpkin Fest, $1,000. Moved by member Vice Chair Capsavanu, second by member Yip, that the board authorizes special fund donations as outlined in the report and approve payment in the requested amounts. Any questions, comments, discussions? No? All those in favor? That carries. Thank you. Other new business. I will go to Woody McKeag, our solicitor.
Thanks, Chair. Sorry for jumping in. I heard the word new business when I was typing this, and I didn't want the meeting to end before I got to speak. I understand from a member of the service that there's a person in the audience who wishes to address the board. This is the same person who made a prior request, and the board, on my advice, decided to defer any presentation until the conclusion of litigation in which she's involved with a service member and indirectly with the board, and the board did defer it, or her request. My advice today is the same as it was then. It would be inappropriate to hear from someone. We saw, I believe, what she was intending to present. This is whenever the request was made a couple of months ago, and there's a good deal of overlap between what she was going to say and the issues in the litigation. So I have no hesitation in saying my recommendation is you shouldn't hear the presentation today. Now, I don't know what what the person intends to say today, but originally there was overlap between the two, between the litigation and what the presentation was going to consist of. But in addition to that, the board's procedural bylaw doesn't allow for this. I don't believe that we have people who can stand up and say, I want to make a presentation. There are rules in the procedural bylaw, and they're geared toward ensuring a couple of things. One is that the presentation that's going to be made is relevant to the board's function, and the other is to make sure that it doesn't stray from things that are, that it doesn't include things that may be considered to be inappropriate. And in this case, what would be inappropriate is any facts or suggestions that reference the facts in the, that are alleged in the litigation. So I wanted to let you know the request has been made through a service member, and they relayed that to me. My recommendation is the same, and that is you should simply, you've already made the decision, and you should simply stand by the decision and not hear any presentation today.
Yeah, again, thank you for that. The request to present has been deferred by the board, and this decision with consultation with yourself stands until the Human Rights Tribunal matter is fully concluded. So we stand by that, and so we'll move on with our meeting. Order again?
Start right now.
I'm going to start right now.
We're starting the meeting, Woody.
Okay, we're on number 11. It's the in-camera reports. 11.1, Police Service Board operating budget for 2026. On July 24th, 2025, the board approved the proposed 2026 budget request for the operation of the Police Service Board in a total amount of $1,040,501, which is a 1.79% increase over the 2025 approved budget to ensure the board's continuation of its statutory police governance and oversight responsibilities. So it's moved by Member Lawson, second by Member Steele, that in accordance with the board direction, the report be amended for public disclosure and reported back on the public agenda. Any discussion? Member Lawson.
Yes, thank you, through you, Chair. I just wanted to say thank you for putting together the budget, because it is, it's important that we're properly supported. I've been advocating for that across the Ontario Association of Police Service Boards as well. And there's a lot more traction on making sure that our boards are adequately and effectively supported as well, because that's important. The only other recommendation I would make going forward for this report would be to make sure that we're including the prior year's actuals on the as one of the columns, so that we are able to say what was last year's compared to this year's. That's the only other recommendation, and the executive director has provided that information, so I'm happy with the report.
Thank you, Member Lawson. We'll take that as direction. Okay, any other comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question though. Then, all those in favor? And that carries. Number 12, motion for closed session, moved by Member Gibson, second by Member McKendrick, that the board move into closed session for consideration of confidential matters pursuant to Section 44 of the Community Safety and Policing Act, namely for subject matter related to potential litigation, human rights matters, information supplied in accordant confidence by the Ministry of the Solicitor General, legal matters that are subject to solicitor-client privilege. Any questions, any comments, any discussion? No? All those in favor? That carries. This meeting is adjourned.